All right, so in this chapter, we learned a bunch of different polygons, and they all stem from a quadrilateral, right? So the overall arching theme is that they're all four sides, right? So once we have this quadrilateral, then we had a few special quadrilaterals. So one is if there's no parallel sides, then it means it's a kite, all right? And remember, a kite, their consecutive sides are congruent, and we know that their diagonals are going to be perpendicular, and we'll know that these two angles will equal each other. Right? If they have one pair of parallel sides, that means it's a trapezoid. But a trapezoid can either just be a regular trapezoid, where it's just one pair of parallel sides, or it can be an isosceles trapezoid, which is our legs are congruent. Right? And in an isosceles trapezoid, we know that the base angles are congruent to each other. We know that the diagonals are congruent to each other. We know that the mid-segment is 1/2 the sum of the two bases. And we know that the consecutive non-base angles are supplementary. And then if both sides are parallel, then that means it's a parallelogram. And within the parallelogram, we learn three different special parallelograms. All right. So these are all quadrilaterals. But once it's a parallelogram, it can be a rectangle, which means it has all right angles. It could be a rhombus, which means it's all congruent sides. Or it could be a square, which means it has characteristics of both a rectangle and a rhombus. So remember, a square has everything of parallelograms as well. It has all the characteristics of a parallelogram. And we know a parallelogram, opposite sides are congruent, opposite angles are congruent. We know that consecutive angles are supplementary. We know that their diagonals bisect each other. And in a rectangle, we know that the diagonals are congruent. In a rhombus, we know that the diagonals are perpendicular, and the diagonals bisect the angles. So there's a bunch of different properties, but they're all quadrilaterals. All right, so these are special quadrilaterals. And then these three here are special parallelograms. All right, but they're all four-sided shapes or four-sided figures. And that's it for chapter 6. Yeah, that's it.